In many plants, the reliability team is the reliability team, and they own responsibility for the reliability of the equipment, sometimes reliability of the process. Then you have sometimes sustainability managers, energy managers. They own the process of energy consumption in the plant. They seem to be two completely different worlds. So you guys are now treading into a new area, because there isn't any such thing that I've ever heard of as a reliability energy or an energy reliability manager or a sustainability reliability manager. What are you guys creating a whole new concept here?
Well, our thought was, lots of companies are focusing on energy efficiency. I mean, you look at the websites, you see something about them being green in their statement for being more energy efficient. But when we go and we visit these companies, we're just seeing pretty much the same simple things being done at each company. They want to focus on their lighting, right? And there's some energy savings there, and there's some sponsored programs that are available in nearly every state to upgrade those. The same thing with windows, right? Some systems in place for HVAC. And I don't want to downplay those things, because anything that you do that saves you energy is going to help your company in the long run, right? But when we look at process reliability and the relationship between manufacturing reliability and energy efficiency, this is a much bigger thing. It's much more significant, the savings, right? And we need to get companies focused on that there's really a huge payback in making your equipment reliable when it comes to energy efficiency.
Terry, there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Woodford. He's on the board of directors for the Association of Energy Engineers, and he's got a very interesting article about how when companies just start to market and publicize that they're focusing on energy efficiency, as Doug was mentioning earlier, they see actually a 17% return or increase in their stock prices because of just announcing to the public. And a lot of times they're doing things like Doug has mentioned. They're focusing on, some of what we talk about. We say, yeah, there's some of the little things, and they're not really. They make a huge impact, lighting, things like that. But really, a bigger impact that we start to see is when we start to focus on the equipment that runs our plant, right? And we're so used to now talking about the operating in a fashion where organizations, they kind of have departments, or, this is the operations group, this is the maintenance group. And from the maintenance and reliability side, we've always tried to talk about, we really need the synergy of trying to show the ties between operations and maintenance. It's the same thing when it comes to energy. Energy is not one person's responsibility. It's everybody's, just like safety, just like reliability. And we've got to start to make the ties between how energy impacts every single piece of our business, and start to get the synergy around getting groups to really go and make the changes, right? Let's not just be aware of them. Let's go and change it. Let's impact the way that we consume energy today.
So you're saying that holding energy use and reliability in the same context is not only good for process reliability, it actually makes good business sense. Can you talk a little bit about what the opportunity is? I mean, sometimes when we talk about reliability improvements, we hear numbers of a 4-to-1 return, a 7-to-1 return, could be a 15-to-1 return. Can you speak to the possible opportunities by putting reliability and energy use in the same context?
Yeah, I think, overall the business cases that I've been a part of putting together when it's come around, putting together a holistic maintenance and reliability initiative. And we've looked at cases where your return on investment is anywhere from 5-to-1 all the way up to 18, 19, 20-to-1, right? And there's always been a bucket that we talk about energy savings, and we kind of go back to some old studies that have been out there since probably the 80s. And which really talked about just from an energy standpoint, you could have something like a 5-to-1 return on investment. But really making the connection between energy usage and equipment reliability, we are now seeing, when we add up all the numbers of all the little projects that we're doing, in fact, one that we completed last year, a company came back to us and said, just by focusing on what you pinpointed from an energy savings opportunity, we were able to pay for an entire $1.3 million project, right? And so we're seeing now these return on investments that potentially, when you start to put it all together, we're looking at 25-to-1 all the way up to 30 to 40-to-1. And it's something that's very hard to, when that's presented to you and you sit and look at it, oh, we don't have that kind of savings. really you do. I mean, when you start attacking those issues and making a prioritized list and making sure that we're actually finishing the action items that are there, you can actually see those types of returns, and we've seen it. We've got some case studies of it in this book, and I think it's going to be very interesting for all of the readers.
And the great part about it is the sustainability of it. Once you show this, right, and people understand this and they see the relationship between the two things, we get buy-in at different levels of the companies that we weren't able to reach before, right? Yeah. When you start talking numbers like Chris talked about, you've got the attention of some pretty high-up people within your facility. When you start talking and money over the millions, their eyes are open, right? And they start seeing the importance of, boy, we've got to do that precision alignment, right? Boy, we've got to do that precision balancing. Boy, we have to have good procedures on how we install our equipment, design our equipment, and operate our equipment, because this reliability and this efficiency thing are delivering numbers that we haven't seen before, right? And it really cements the importance of this whole ball, putting it together, that whole puzzle.
I know that you don't have a crystal ball, but do you think this is going to become more important in the future? In other words, is our energy prices going to continue to rise, and things from the political side of things like cap and trade, are they going to make this subject even more important in the future for manufacturers and process industries?
Here's my opinion on a thing. I think that, well, in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen, and I'm 50 now, by the way, I haven't seen a point in time where energy costs have gone down, right? So it's going to continue to rise. I don't think it'll be as significant as we've seen in the last 10 years, but it'll continue to rise over time. And really, what I hope for is that by doing this, there's going to be some companies that, not so much the crystal ball, but they see the writing on the wall that says, boy, if we don't do this, our competitors might be doing it, and they're going to get an edge, right? And so you always want to stay, in front of the wave of things like that. You want to be on the leading edge as opposed to being the company that's lagging. Those that lag get bought, right? Those that lead prosper.
There's a lot of companies that are looking at renewable energy, right? And regardless of how we're getting our energy, we have to understand the responsibility that we have as stewards of the land that we live in, right? And when we make some simple changes, whether it be light, whether it be cooling, those are things that when you look at the whole scheme of things and you look at all of the other industries that are being built in other countries right around the world, that type of energy savings kind of gets swallowed up. We've got to start to see more of a revolution where people are actually in pain, right? And we have to do things that typically in the past we've just simply written off or said, well, we can, or maybe we can do this. If we really want to start to impact the world and change the impact, the negative impact that we see from additional energy usage and consumption, we're going to have to start to really make some drastic changes, some things that maybe challenge the norm and kind of put us in a little bit of an awkward position. But at the end of the day, it's simply getting back and doing what we should have a sense of responsibility for doing. I've seen organizations that solely look at energy as Doug said, it's kind of a necessary evil. And we talk about maintenance as being a necessary evil. We've got to have power to produce, and we kind of abuse it at times. And we say, well, there's just always going to be more. Well, we need to take a responsibility on and say, these are the list of things that we can do to dramatically impact how much we're consuming. And at the end of the day, I think that America, we have a choice here within the United States. We need to get on the leading edge of that. Set some examples. Europe has been doing this for a number of years. They put a lot of attention on energy efficiency. We need to kind of come together and do this as a whole and try to lead the rest of the world in this effort.